Well, hi there, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Whoever is out there, I know that you guys were waiting because we started an hour later. It was my fault, but that's okay. I'm glad that you're here. So, welcome to the State of Grace podcast live. As you know, I always talk about the state of grace, which is our ideal state of being. And as you know, mine is joy, peace, and happiness and love. It sounds like a Christmas special, but that's really the state of being that I strive for. So, anyway, how do I get to that state of being? What I do is, one of the things, gratitude. As soon as I wake up, before I even become conscious that I'm alive, I am grateful for everything, for the food in my refrigerator, for my apartment, for my friends, for everything. I start thinking about stuff and I start thanking the universe or whoever you believe in for all of that. And I'm also very excited every time I wake up and I'm breathing, I'm alive. Yay. That's very important. So today, our guest is going. Hi, Jose. How are you? You guys, my ADHD starts kicking in when you're posting all those comments. But anyway, our guest, Jay, I love this guy. He's been on my other podcast, Love at First Laugh, like a million times, and we always have a blast. You actually, you haven't seen him on Raymond, but he was a writer, executive producer on Everybody Loves Raymond. He was a writer also on Seinfeld, and he has a new Substack series called Bits and Pieces, and we're gonna talk about that. And so please welcome my really good friend and excellent, incredible, amazing writer, artist, Steve Skrovan.
Doing my own applause.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
How about can you tell I do stand up? I've emceed many times. I'm like, yeah. So how are you, Steve? It's been a minute.
I'm doing great. Our hair's turned different colors since the last time, I think. I had very long hair last time. Remember my corn?
Yes. Yeah. And you were totally rocking it.
Yes. Although a friend of mine said to me the other day, I hadn't seen her in years. She's, do you still have your ponytail? And I said, no. She says, oh, thank God.
Oh no, she didn't like it?
Apparently not. But
oh no,
yeah, a lot of people didn't like it and just were too nice not to tell me. But she finally, after it was gone, she said, "Oh, great, thank you."
It was kind of controversial, I guess.
I just wanted to prove that I could do it again. And
yes. No, that was awesome. It looked great. And I remember that the last interview, you had your ponytail and I was bald and I had a wig on.
Yes. Now you have a full head of hair and I've got a bald spot in the back. So
no, you don't. Really?
Yeah, somewhere. I can't see it, but
that's okay.
I'll see it in a picture and I go, who the hell is that?
Oh, no. I was worried about my hair not coming out after chemo, but it came out. Actually, I like this hair better.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's great that you can actually upgrade. It's kind of like redoing your bathroom.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Chemo was a great, renovation program.
Thank God for chemo. You're so lucky.
I know.
Everybody, if you don't like your hair, just go through chemo.
Absolutely. And you know what? It kills all the healthy cells. So you renew your cells even faster than usual. So
yeah.
Can't beat it. We're going to say hi to Michael, Roger, and Jose. Okay. Thank you so much. Oh, people that hate well, can you put that back up? People that hate ponytails hate it because they can't grow one. Yes.
It was all the bald guys who hated it.
No.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, they were jealous. Yeah, totally jealous. Yeah. And the women too, I'm sure, they were jealous because you have like this gorgeous hair.
Well, it was kind of a new relationship I had with women because we could share hair care secrets. And I learned a lot about leave-in conditioner, which I had no idea about.
No.
I know. And then, how many times you wash your hair. It was a whole new conversation starter with women. Ask them what they're
I
using.
love it. So
Yeah.
now you know what we go through, and that's just one of the things we go through.
Oh yes, and yeah, I wouldn't want all your body parts. No, thank you.
No, no, right. I know.
Yeah,
I know. And
it's
then our body parts, can get cancer too. It's like,
yeah,
then they
that's,
chop them off.
that's
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah. Next time, if I reincarnate, which I
yeah.
hope this is my last reincarnation, if that exists.
Oh,
But if,
you've reached the height, Grace. You have reached the
yes,
state, Grace. I don't think
yeah.
you can improve upon this now.
Thank you. I think I don't want to reincarnate again, but if I did, I would definitely be a dude. Oh, hi, Blue Horseshoe. Hi, Grace. I'm here for the moment. So glad I didn't miss it. Yes, my connection is in and out. Okay, I'm so happy you're able to be here. We're gonna be a very ADHD, Steve.
That's
But you've been to my podcast before, so we always
yeah.
comment on the comments, right?
Oh,
So
no, I like the interaction with the audience. Sure.
yes, isn't it fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like stand up. So I invited you because I love you and you're always a great guest and we have so much fun. And, one of the things I ask my guests is like, well, have you had any dramatic challenges in your life? And this is what you replied. I'm a lucky guy, cis male, white boomer, but had the usual career challenges. So tell me, why do you consider yourself a lucky guy?
Simply when I was born. I was born at the peak of the baby boom, 1957. More babies born in that year than any other industry, and the world was served us because there were just too many of us, and so it had to like cater to us. And also, it was a time of economic prosperity in the United States.
Mhm.
And
Right.
my parents, who were not, my dad uh, was a very smart dude, but he didn't go to 4 years of college. My mom was a nurse. She went to nursing school, but they could have a middle class life and raise us without having to they had no inherited money or anything like that. And so I was able to get a top notch education just
Nice.
because of when I was born. And being white and being a guy didn't hurt either. And so that's why, I actually feel if I was a millennial, can I curse on this or not?
Use
If
like,
I was a millennial, I
yes,
would say to me, go F yourself, boomer,
yes,
because here's another thing that brought it home to me. I
yes.
was, I'm in the Writers Guild. We were on strike all last spring and summer and into the fall. And I got a chance to talk to a lot of young writers, the generations before me. And it's harder.
Yes.
The opportunities are just not as good as they were for me, uh,
Mhm.
just because of when I was born. So um, I don't take that for granted, and I try to
Mhm.
use whatever power I've gained for good. But I have no
Yeah.
illusions that I'm some brilliant self-made person who, overcame all of these challenges, and I just don't have that kind of dramatic story. It's and I came up as a stand-up comedian because there again, the comedy boom of the 1980s allowed me to do something that I found that I loved to do and gave me entree to the writing career and everything else that I've had. So, and again, I just happened to be born at the right time.
That's amazing. I think that boomers had it like very much easier, much, much easier than even Gen X. I think I'm Gen X. Uh, I think you guys had it much better than we did. I think we were like in the middle, not as bad as millennials, but kind of, you
Yeah,
know.
you got the tail end, and I'll give you an example um, of like when I was talking to these young writers, and the whole industry now is centered around streaming. We did 210 episodes of Everybody Loves Raymond over 9 years.
Wow.
And today, if you're on a successful show that streams, you're maybe doing 4 seasons, 24 episodes total, like 6 a year. And and the residuals are just not the same either. So we used to do 24 to 26 episodes a season, when one season from June till the end of March. There you could be 4 years and only do 24. So the opportunity to make money at the way we were able to do it in my era, which was basically the 90s sitcom boom, again, another boom.
Yeah.
And it's, the stand-up comedy boom of the 80s, the sitcom boom of the 90s, all of that is related demographically to the baby boom of the 50s and early 60s. And so that's that.
Wow. Yes, Everybody Loves Raymond was from 1996 to 2005. I remembered watching it with my family when I was younger. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that, again, speaking to young writers on the strike line, we met this young writer who's, he's probably in his late 20s, early 30s. And he said, my parents used to watch that show and I didn't get it. And then I got married and had kids, and it's genius. So it's still on.
Yes.
And so an audience is growing into it. The people who are too young to really relate to it before are now relating to it, and that's what's made it endure. And it's lucky again for me.
Absolutely. No, and it's a classic. I mean, it's about humanity, really. It's not specific. Yes, it's a specific family and a specific, the Italian family, which I grew up in, is very spot on. But it's just everybody can relate to it, even the single one, Robert, right?
Yeah.
So you have like the married couple and you have the single one. So you really kind of covered the whole scope. And then the older couple.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
all different permutations of that. And because it's about family, it was universal. That's why it set a record in Russia for
Ah,
being adapted. They took our 210 episodes, adapted them, and then wrote another 200 and 250 episodes. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most adapted show. We went
wow.
to Israel and we did it there. I went to India, we did it there. They've done it in other countries. And it's because family is universal.
Yeah.
All of those relationships are recognizable no matter where you're from. And it was particularly interesting in India. They were particularly interested in it because of the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship.
Mhm.
Because in India, when a couple gets married, traditionally they move in with the groom's parents,
Oh, wow.
which automatically causes a power struggle between the matriarch who's been there and the new woman, the wife.
Totally.
And all of their most of their TV is around soap operas, and all the soap operas, apparently, this is what I was told, are centered on this mother-in-law daughter-in-law conflict, and the women in India are the ones who control the remote. And so they seem to think our show would fit into that mold, and it did. It did. They did over 100 episodes there.
That's incredible. And you were involved with that, right? Or
Yeah,
was it
I
in
was
India?
involved
Yeah.
in India. Yeah, in India and Russia. I wasn't. I went to Russia long after they started adapting it to help them write original episodes.
Yeah.
Um, so I was there for just 2 months in Russia. I was in Israel. They only did 13 episodes of Israel because they had the show, the real show, the original show there. It was already on TV, and most people speak English, so it was kind of competing against itself. But we did do a version with Israeli actors in Hebrew, and then the Indian version was the one where I was there from the beginning, and was kind of helped them from soup to nuts get it off the ground.
How was that experience?
It was wonderful. It's a great way to be in another country. Uh, Unlike being a tourist, because what you're doing is you're sitting in a room with a bunch of other people talking about the stories of your life. And how does your story relate to their story? How would you do this episode? And how would you do this? I can tell you a funny story. In India, in the second season of Raymond, we did an episode that was centered around a Civil War reenactment for Frank, played by Peter Boyle, being a Civil War reenactor, and he and Robert are going to do this, and Ray doesn't want to do it, but he's also upset that they didn't ask him to do it so he could say no.
Right.
So they finally ask him, and he does say yes, but then he finds out he's going to be a Confederate while Frank and Robert are going to be on the Union side, and we played all the jokes there, and so the people in India, they looked at it and they said, well, they can't do Civil War reenactments. They this different history, obviously.
Yeah.
But one of the writers there, they were thinking of a substitute. What could we do instead? Because really the story is about a guy being one of the brothers being left out and not included in this project. And they have a thing in India, which is a thing called kabaddi. And all of you who are on YouTube can look it up. I think it's spelled with a K, Kabidi, something like that. Kabaddi. And it's some sort of game that's a combination of Red Rover and pro wrestling. And a bunch of guys, and it's usually middle-aged guys, and it's kind of a recreational sport. I don't think it's professional. They're in loincloths, and they link arms. Two sides link arms, and one side tries to break through the other side. And as a prep for this, they chant. They kind of do this on their bodies, and they go, kabaddi, 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 kabaddi. And so one of the writers says, why don't we substitute kabaddi for the Civil War? And yeah, it usually is middle-aged guys, which is perfect, Jose, because, and they're in loincloths. So I said to the guys in India, I said, oh my God, this is funnier than the original, because you can put these middle-aged guys in loincloths instead of beautiful Civil War uniforms.
Yeah.
And they can do this chanting thing. And so that was one episode where I could very confidently tell the Indians, this is actually funnier than the original. And but that was kind of a cultural adjustment we made.
Yes.
Because they didn't have that, In Israel, I had written an episode with my friend Lou Schneider where, again, it was sports oriented, but it was Ray and Robert are playing, basketball on a basketball team. And the Israeli showrunner said, we can't do that episode. And I said, well, why not? And he said, because we don't have recreational sports in Israel. I said, well, you don't have bowling teams? You don't have, no, we don't have any. They have sports, in school and Olympics and all of that. But they don't have recreational sports in Israel. And
wow.
So we can't do that episode. And he didn't find a substitute for it. So, that's kind of a bit of a cultural difference there too. But yeah, that's a great way to be in a country, because
yes,
you get to know it in a way you would never get to know it as a tourist. It's not about,
absolutely.
It's just about sharing stories with people.
I love that. That's great. And now, since Raymond was about marriage, and you've been married like for 200 years now?
210 episodes. We've been married. Actually, I had my name in 30 episodes of Raymond, so I could say our marriage is 30 episodes long.
Oh, that's funny. So I always ask you relationship questions, because you're like my guru, right? You're like my sensei. You're my relationship sensei.
I should turn off one of my lights here so I can look like,
Yeah, no, turn it back on.
Turn it on. Turn it back on.
We want to see your face. I want to ask you, what are the pros and cons of being married, in your opinion?
The pros and cons of being married. That's the most general question.
Very general, but if the
pros,
yeah,
the pro is that you're living with someone, you're sharing your life with someone. The cons are you're living with someone, you're sharing your life with someone.
That was very clear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's I remember this is Joy Behar's joke. I remember, when I knew her stand up in the 80s, one of her jokes was, I want a man in my life. I just don't want him in my house.
Yes. I feel the same way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
not anymore. I'm like, I'm done. I like my little space, my girly space. That's it. No.
yeah, so the pros and cons are pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
I love everything about marriage except the part where you have to live with the other person.
Which
Yeah.
can be fun. When it's fun, it's fun. And when it's not fun, ay, ay, ay.
No, it's great. And I have,
You have a great
yeah,
relationship.
lucky. Yeah, we have a great lady, a lucky wife who is I married because she was smarter than me, and which was great.
Good.
I didn't expect all the correction, but that was
Of course.
my fault for marrying somebody smarter than me.
Absolutely. And I know that you had some episodes that were inspired in your married life,
Yeah,
right? Can you tell us like one or two of them that were inspired in your real life?
yeah. Well, and this is I'm going to on my Substack. Um, uh, I'm going to. I have one kind of loaded up. By the way, I'll just plug the Substack
Please.
part
Yes.
because um, these are longer, humorous essays and short stories and things, and so it's about a range of things. Just I posted one just a couple days ago, which was about being a vegetarian, and then I've
Oh,
posted
how
one
cool.
about Raymond. The very first one I posted was called Rick Dees Hates Me, and that was a story of Rick Dees hating me and why he hates me, the old DJ. And so yeah, there were a bunch of uh, and I may have told you this story before on another podcast, but my wife wanted us to go to a couples retreat, just to kind of refresh, renew, and it was based on this theory of relationships called imago and all of that. And it was in Pasadena, and it was over a weekend. It was so, and it was football season, and but I had to go, so I went.
Yeah.
I wasn't really looking forward to going, and and they do all of these workshops and make you do these exercises with each other. And one of the exercises they wanted us to do was they gave us a little notebook and said, write things down that bother you about your spouse.
I
Yeah. And I thought, oh my God, this is
not a good situation.
minefield. Why don't I just go and step on a mine? And
Right.
and I'm staring at this blank page, just stumped. And meanwhile, Shelley is just writing furiously,
Oh no.
in her notebook. And I think I have to write something, because if I don't write anything, it's like I'm not taking the exercise seriously. But if I do write something, I don't want to get in trouble for it and everything. And so I got this block. And then just before there was pencils down, I thought of something. And I wrote down, this is, I don't like the way you make me late. And that was the only thing I wrote in the notebook. And as soon as I got to the end of that sentence, I thought, okay, I have an episode. This is yeah.
Yeah.
And Shelley always, got used to it. All of the spouses on Raymond would get used to us culling from our lives episodes.
Yeah.
And for sometimes Shelley and we would be having a dispute about something, and she talks about this. She'd see my eyes kind of go off up here at one point. She go, "This is not for the show. This is not for the show." And then I say, "Yes, but honey, look how much they pay you for each episode." And she goes, "Okay, this is for the show."
Of course.
And then
She's very smart.
yes, we'd artificially extend the argument just to get a second act,
That is
So,
hilarious.
so I said, I don't like the way you make me late. And so I came in the next Monday. I I don't even remember all the complaints she had about me, but I just had focused on this, and it was a nice weekend, and all of that. So I come in Monday and I say, I think I got an idea, and I put it out there, and everybody related to it. Everybody had a story, and it didn't cut across gender lines. Like it wasn't
No.
always the woman who was late. Sometimes the guy was late, and Phil Rosenthal was the showrunner. Talked about how when he's at a party and they're going to leave, he's standing by the door for a half hour while his wife does the goodbye tour. That's to
Right.
invite everybody, and
Mhm.
everybody had a different story. But I didn't have a plot. It was a great theme. And for every story, there's three elements. There's character, obviously, there's plot, and there's theme. And usually you start with a plot, an incident, a conflict. Sometimes you start with like a character trait, like, okay, Ray's a hypochondriac. Let's do something about that. Very rarely do you start with a theme. That's the hardest way to start. And so I had this great theme that everybody obviously related to.
Yes.
I didn't have a plot. And I went to my friend in the next office, Aaron Shore, and I said, I'm having this dilemma. I've got this great theme, but no plot. And he didn't really have a total answer for me, but he said, a friend of mine in his family, had this thing called AIS, and it was stood for ass in seat. And his father would set an AIS time. And if anybody whoever in the family wasn't in the car at the appointed ass and seat time would get left behind. And he said, so it always worked. Everybody was on time until apparently later in life when his friend was grown up and a doctor and a pillar of the community, and his father set AIS time and left without him. But anyway, we brought that idea into the room. And Phil Rosenthal, who's brilliant showrunner, when he
Mhm.
heard that story, he said, "That's the act break. Ray leaves Deborah." And I did exactly that. I went, oh,
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
I actually kind of shivered. I go, oh my God, that is the greatest act break I've heard in my life. And the act break is important in a story because it's the thing that makes you come back. It's after the
Exactly.
interview, after the commercial, the stakes have to be high. And if they're going to an event and she's not on time and Ray leaves her, it just because I was thinking, oh my God, I could never do that. That's the
Right.
and so this is why you write stories, because you can write about the things you would never do, but you can live vicariously about that. So as soon as he said that, I said, okay, I got it. All I know is I just need to set up to that point and then play out the consequences after that. And so, boom, Phil just saying Ray leaves Deborah for something. That was all I needed. So I went back, and the episode basically was Ray and Deborah having an argument about how she always makes him late. And she promises that she will. They're going to this sports awards show, and it's black tie event, and he's going to set an AIS time for 6 o'clock, and she's going to be there. She's promised. She said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't realize this meant so much to you. I'll be there." And so he's downstairs. It's a few minutes before time. We just see Deborah touching up her hair. She's got a little hair curler, and she's just touching up, and she's about, yes, comedic cliffhanger is exactly what it is.
Yes.
And she walks away. She puts down the thing, steps away from here, and then takes a step away, and then comes back. Just one more little thing, and the hair curler gets stuck in her hair.
Oh
And
no.
Ray is looking at his watch, and his brother and sister-in-law are babysitting, so they're waiting there. And he says, "Tell Deborah I'll be in the car." And he goes in the car, and she's trying desperately to get the thing out of her hair because she wants to be on time. And we cut to Ray in the car. Ding, 6 o'clock. His alarm goes off. He turns the key in the ignition, and the car starts. And we did this in front of a live audience, and you could hear the audience do the exact same thing you did and the exact same thing I did in the writer's room. They went, oh,
Mhm.
and boom, he drives off, and everybody is, oh my God. And The second act is basically Ray at the award show, and a couple of his buddies are there, and he's, where's Deborah? Well, I set the AIS time. He's very proud of himself, and they're going like, good for you, Ray, you did it. Yes. Yeah. And Ray's like, yeah. And then one of them says, that's fantastic. I could never do that to my wife. She would kill me. And as soon as he says that, Ray goes, oh my God. He has his Bridge on the River Kwai, Alec Guinness and the Bridge over the River Kwai. He sees the train coming over the bridge. And that's what Ray has. And he all of a sudden starts spiraling like the character Ray and the real Ray would do about, oh my God, what did I do? What have I done? I can't go home now. I can't. She's going to be so mad. I'm going to have to join the witness protection program.
Yes.
And meanwhile, we cut back to Deborah back at the house with that thing still hanging in her hair. And Amy, the character, offers to help her get it out. She says, no, we're leaving it here. So she spends the whole evening with this hanging out of her hair. And the parents come over and they hear the situation. And Ray comes in and he is like humbled. And he's got a centerpiece from the banquet with wilted flowers in it. It's some sort of lame peace offering. And we had this discussion in the writer's room because in an episode, you usually have the big scene where everything gets hashed out. It's an argument of some sort and everything gets hashed out. And I said, we don't need that. We had that argument about this in the first act. I think it would be better if Deborah doesn't say anything to him. And that's the thing that drives him. He wants her to yell at him, but she doesn't. And people who are there as a buffer are eventually going to leave, and he's going to be alone with her. And so that was the horror story that is in his imagination what she's going to do. And that's the way.
That was me. That was I live in a busy street. Sorry about that.
And so that was your ride. And
my date. Yeah. You just saw me from down there just now. Thanks. Passing on that.
And so he comes in with this lame, centerpiece, and everybody's yelling at him for why? How could you do that? And Ray says to his dad, "I did the AIS thing. You did that, when we were kids." He says, "Yeah, but I would never follow through with it. What are you, crazy? Marie would kill me." And so he realized his father never would have done it anyway. So he went and did it. And so everybody leaves. And he's standing there with Deborah, who's got the thing hanging out of her hair. And she hasn't said anything to him. And he goes up the stairs like a dead man walking, like he's on execution row.
Oh, yeah.
And he turns back to her at some point and says, are you coming? And she says, "I'll be up in a minute. Like, you're going to have to wait for me now." And the show ends just with a tag of Ray still sitting on the edge of the bed with the lame centerpiece in his hand, just kind of whimpering, going, That's how it all ends. And that's so I'll be doing, I'll probably be telling a story like that in my Substack, but that's one, that's a relationship thing from real life that we turned into an episode, and that continues to pay off. So
that is amazing. And it was just you go into like a couples therapy kind of workshop thingy and just got that idea. That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. But you were always like thinking about, could this be a good episode? So
yes. Yeah. Your antenna is out all the time. Yeah. And I quote my friend Lou Schneider, who he was on a ski trip with his family, and they were in an elevator, and they had come from a hot tub. So they were in bathing suits, and all of their ski equipment was still in the car, and everything they had packed was still in the car because they had arrived early. And he drops his keys in the slot of the elevator, the car keys, where everything, all the equipment and all of their clothes and suitcases are.
Ooh.
He's trying to fetch the thing out of the slot in the while the door keeps closing and his wife is holding the door open. He's cursing,
No.
but she's hip to the fact that when bad things happen, it could be an episode.
Yeah.
And so she says, "Well, honey, maybe he could be an episode." And Lou goes, "No, no, we already did an episode where Ray dropped his keys down a heating grate. We've already done this episode. This is just something shitty that happened.
A useless catastrophe. Yes, completely.
Yeah, we've already done that episode. So
Oh,
no, we can't get anything out of this."
that is hilarious. So the writer's room, I'm always fascinated by the writer's room. How was it being in that writer's room?
Well, every writer's room is different, and it's
Yeah.
really dictated by who's running the show. You kind of take on the personality of the showrunner, and we all sort of kind of naturally conform. It's kind of like a bird's nest in a way, where there's a mama bird, and you're all chirping to try to get a worm from the showrunner, which means you kind of have to kind of tune into what the showrunner responds to. Like Phil Rosenthal, is a big foodie, and he's actually got a show on Netflix called Somebody Feed Phil. So he's always a foodie. So he loved food jokes. So I wasn't necessarily a fooder, but I kind of learned, okay, is there a food reference I can make to get something into the script? And that's kind of how you adapt. But it doesn't exist as much anymore. And this is the kind of thing I was talking about at the beginning of the show. For the other writers, the writer's room has been reduced, and a lot of it, because of the pandemic, was done on Zoom.
Yes.
It's just not the same as being in a room with people and having, we're doing Zoom and we're focused on a conversation. Zoom is good when you're focused on one topic and then you're out, but there's an intensity to that that's hard to sustain. In a writer's room, you're having side conversations, or you're taking a break and going to the bathroom, and then you're talking to somebody in the hallway, and there's a lot of other socialization that goes on there, where you're just deepening relationships in ways that they can't be done over Zoom. So there are a lot of Zoom rooms now, and the rooms are smaller because they're cutting back and on these show orders and everything. So I was lucky enough to be in the boom times in the 90s through the early 2000s, through the late 2000s, actually,
Yes.
2010s, to, be in rooms where there were, 7, 8, 9, 12 writers in the room.
Wow.
Sometimes it can get crowded, but then again, it's, that we had to have that many writers because we were doing 22 episodes a year.
Wow, that's a lot.
Well, it's in the old days, in the 50s, they would do 39 episodes, and then basically 22. But sometimes with Raymond, we did 24, 26
Okay.
episodes, just because we just had to keep feeding the machine. But now, what's interesting is that with streaming, TV series are no longer kind of self-contained series. It's sequential because it's binge watching. And
Yes.
creatively, it's kind of interesting because you can kind of, when you did a pilot in the old system, you kind of had to pack everything into the pilot. You had to meet all of the characters. You had to find out what they were all about, what all the relationships were about. And so a lot of pilots were kind of stilted because there was too much exposition.
Yes.
But in the streaming, when it was sequential, you could start something at the beginning of a relationship and watch it develop and add new characters per episode and not have to jam everything into one. And that was creatively kind of interesting, but ultimately limiting, because all of these series now, like you say, Ted Lasso, which was wildly popular, it's like a long movie. It's kind of like, Ted Lasso is about the ingenuous guy coming in and to all this very cynical world, and he turns eventually, after the end of the season, he turns all the cynical people around to his positive way of thinking. And then once you've done that, The second season, it's like a sequel. That's like a whole movie. It's just a very long movie because it's coming to this end point.
Yes.
And once these characters have changed, and you've got to gin up another conflict to have a second season.
That
And
is so true. Yes, it's not like the same thing,
yeah,
even though it evolves, like the characters and relationships do evolve in a traditional sitcom. But this is like, you're right.
yeah,
You have to like start almost like a new show on
shows
season
like
two.
Raymond, Seinfeld, all the shows that we're most familiar, our generation is familiar with, they're all self-contained. You don't have to
Yeah.
see one before to understand what's going on in this one, or
Yes.
and we would have little mini arcs and things of 2 or 3 episodes where something was happening, but nothing that was life changing throughout the throughout the season. So in a traditional sitcom that I grew up on, the second season was always was the best season
Hmm.
because you had a handle on the premise, you knew what the actors could do, you knew which characters clicked with each other, and you hadn't written all the stories yet. So you ask anybody in that tradition, the second season is the best. But in the streaming tradition, the sequential stuff, the second season is hard because it's like doing a sequel to a successful movie.
Absolutely. It's like almost like a sub show.
Yeah, it's a sequel.
Yeah.
It's a sequel, but it's a long sequel to, you got to come up with a whole nother thing that has an endpoint. And like you watched the third season of Ted Lasso, and it was just a soap opera. It was just completely lost. It was
Yeah.
still popular because people loved those characters, but it was all about who's hooking up with who, and there was no real, you know, narrative center to it.
Yeah.
And so, it would have to end after how many, they probably had 30 episodes, total. That was about it because you couldn't sustain it. So even a show that's wildly successful like that, 30 episodes. So the writers' rooms are smaller, the payouts are smaller. It's all a different world than what I came up through. And again, is why we get back to the theme. It's not that I didn't have challenges. We all have challenges. And if
Of
I were to
course.
talk about having a challenge, you all have small little failures. You pitch, when I was on Seinfeld, it was very hard to pitch a story to Larry that he would accept because
Really?
he's a genius and he was very
Yeah.
picky, and I'm less than a genius, and so it
Stop
was
it.
hard
You
to
are
get
humble. That's what you are. You're very humble. Stop it.
it. Well,
You are a genius.
for reason, no, well, please, no,
I
that's
think you are.
the case. But it was very hard to get a story by him. And I remember my friend Bill Masters and I pitched the story. We thought this has to go, and didn't happen. He didn't go for it.
Didn't go for it. Yeah.
But so the next day, I came back with another story idea that I just thought up of that next day, and I called a couple of the other two of the other writers and said, "Hey, you want to join me on this? Let's do this." And we pitched it to Larry, and he said, and it wasn't like a whole elaborate pitch that I had done the day before with Bill. We just said, "How about this log line?" And he said, "Okay, let's do that." And I think one of the reasons he did it was because I didn't mope after being rejected. I just picked
Oh,
myself up off the ground and went at it again, knowing full well I could, get knocked down again. And when I say knocked down, that's over dramatic. Larry was very, gentle in his rejections. But uh, uh, I think this has kind of engendered me because I'm a jock. I played a lot of sports. I played football.
yes. I remember that. Yeah.
I still play baseball and everything. And thank you, Blue Horseshoe. Yes, it was stellar. And I was only a small part of it. But the idea that you lose a game and you come back, or you miss a tackle, or you drop a ball, and if you think about that, you're going to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
So the sports mentality for me is, okay, put that aside. Uh, next thing. And so that's kind of what I did. I used that kind of mentality for that, and we got it. We managed to get an episode on the air, and And I remember Larry saying to me, you came right back of and I think that's probably one of the reasons he accepted it, because he was like, I can't, I can't do this to this guy again.
Oh, that's so
He
funny.
went
I
back.
love that story.
Yeah. So
So
those little challenges is what I learned to overcome,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I've gained any successes because of that attitude. It's like you just got to keep
Keep
piling right.
going.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
think being an athlete, used to be an athlete. I was a competitive swimmer. So it's the same. It's that mentality. It's like, just keep going. You
yeah,
fall and it's okay. Get back up and keep going, keep running, keep
yeah,
swimming, keep doing whatever you need to do. So that's great. It served you really well in the industry because it is a very tough industry.
yeah. You can't, and you can't. You have to learn not to take things personally,
Yeah.
even though a lot of it is very personal. And then when you're talking about creativity and your story or your idea, and this person who has the power to say yay or nay doesn't like it, for whatever reason, this
Yeah.
business is 99% rejection. And so when
Yes.
I talk to young people about getting into the business, I say, you have to understand, I've had a very successful career, but it's still 99% rejection.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to stomach that. You have to be able to kind of put that aside and do the next thing, and
Absolutely.
or take that same thing you're doing and try somewhere else, or try it this way or try it that way, or and that's the challenge
Hmm.
that we can all relate to in a small way. So so at the beginning of the show when I say I've had no challenges, it's really true. No big dramatic things that I've had to overcome. I haven't,
Good.
I've been healthy. I've been, blessed with, a great wife and relationships and great kids and all of that. And, they're all little mini challenges in that I get to write about either on these TV shows, or now I write
Yeah.
about them on my Substack page. That's Steve Skrovan at Substack,
Mhm.
bits and pieces.
That's good
I do an audio
comedian
version
too.
of it too. I do an audio version of everything.
Oh, amazing. You guys need to subscribe to, there it is right there, steveskrovan.substack.com. Please go and subscribe. He's, as you know, obviously a brilliant writer. And I remember we did Sheltered in Place,
Yeah,
um, like 2 shows about that. And it was so much fun. His stories are amazing, as you know, and can tell by the stories he's telling us now. So definitely subscribe to him, and also the audio. That's great. So you have, like, you write it, and then how
I
does that?
write it, and then I do an audio version of it where I recite, act it out, like a David Sedaris type thing. But
Nice.
the audio versions are fun for me to do because I can put little audio
Yeah.
drop-ins.
Yeah.
Can do music cue, start with music, end it with music, and then sometimes actually drop in things from something I'm talking about, like
Yeah.
just off of YouTube, and I'll just drop in an audio thing that kind of brings it to life.
Yes.
And yeah, so I rehearse it just like I would be doing, and then record it, and like an audio book.
It's great. No, it's so fun. Now we have so many tools to be able to put our art out there, the creativity out there. So, what do you think is the main difference when you came up in, like, the 90s, and now today? Like, what are the advantages and disadvantages of today to be an artist today, a comedian, a writer, an actor?
Well, to be a comedian, and I've been out of stand for a while, but I kind of try to keep track of it.
Yeah.
Um, the comedy boom sort of sustained it. I mean, it no longer boomed because the audience contracted.
Yeah.
But the idea, when I started in 1980, the idea of becoming a comedian, I was from a small town in Ohio, and I thought comedians just pop fully formed out of the forehead of Johnny Carson.
Right. Yes.
I didn't know that there were clubs, and there weren't clubs. It was really on the coast, New York, LA, maybe something in Boston or San Francisco or, Chicago. But when the boom happened, the it kind of went regional. It came, comedy club opened in Cleveland and Pittsburgh and Detroit and all these other places, Atlanta eventually. And that's what gave the opportunity for people like me to go, oh, this is how you do it. And this is an entree to it, and gain stage time. And then I basically grew up as a comedian in New York City. I moved to New York. So that, that kind of still exists. It's and probably not at the height it did before, but being a comedian now, it was pre-internet. It's like the Jurassic period when I was. So you can market yourself.
Yes.
You can put out, you do merch and people putting on their acts, and there was all of these other venues. When I was doing it, it was like you had to get on the Tonight Show to up your price when you were on the road, that kind of thing. Now there's so many different avenues. It's been greatly democratized in that way.
Yes.
So that's one advantage, I would say, as far as the stand-up world goes. As far as the writing world goes, I think, again, the technology will have to, there's a way that people are getting there, being able to express themselves either on TikTok or Instagram, or back a few years ago, this thing called Vines. And, there's always ways that people are finding to do their thing without gatekeepers. And then if you're lucky enough and you hit on something that somebody likes, then you can get really paid for it. Or, in my day, it was very hard to build an audience. Like, you can build an audience. I have about 1,000 subscribers on Substack.
That's amazing.
So it's and it's slowly building. And I hope you go to steveskrovan.substack.com and subscribe. It's free. They may ask you for money. Ignore that. You can subscribe for free. And so I think those are advantages for me. I'm an older guy, so it's like it's a new world that I'm not really all that familiar with. But people build audiences on Twitter. They build audiences in all
everywhere.
You build an audience on YouTube. So I think that's one of the advantages as far as the institutional infrastructure that existed when I came of age in the business.
Yeah.
That's not there. It's not there at the same intensity, at the same advantage. So, but things always come to replace it because people want to be entertained. They want to do art, and people want to enjoy art. So they'll find a way to do it and hopefully monetize it. So that you can actually make a living.
Yes, I have fan sites and I've been monetizing, which is great. You can make a living. Well, not yet, but you can, make money doing what you love doing. And like you said, it's more democratic now where everybody can do it. And not necessarily artists. Like on TikTok, you have people that are doing other things and not, art, and they have a huge following. And this is tied to all of this. We've been hearing that celebrity culture is dying, right? We have all this like P. Diddy stuff and like all these celebrities, like all the dirt is coming out, and J-Lo is like also everybody's hating on J-Lo on TikTok. It's like people, I think, celebrities have been like flaunting some, not all of them, their wealth, like the Kardashians and like J-Lo and like all of these people. And I think people are tired of that. What do you think about celebrity culture? Is it dying, or is it a temporary kind of like disillusionment with the culture?
I want to know why everybody's mad at J-Lo.
Okay, no, we're not gonna go.
You don't have to tell me.
But everybody's mad at J-Lo because
I'm an old man who doesn't know. I don't know. I don't think about celebrity culture much because I've been in show business for 40 plus years now, and I'm not impressed with celebrity because I know they're just people, like, and I've worked with them, and I'm more impressed. I mean, the other part of my life has been working with Ralph Nader, who just turned 90 in February.
Wow.
They have the radio show, the Ralph Nader Radio Hour, which you can also tune into. Ralph Nader Radio Hour. It's also on Substack. So if you go to ralphnaderradiohour.com, check it out there. I'm just the host. It's Ralph's show.
I love it.
And I'm on the board of the group that he started called Public Citizen, which
Oh
is
yeah.
a nonpartisan group that just looks after ordinary people, fighting corporate power and fighting for democracy. And the people that I meet there, those are my celebrities. People you've never heard.
Yes.
Jim
I love
Height,
that.
Rob Weissman, Sid Wolf. These are people you would never heard of, but these are people actually making a difference in the world and making our
Yes.
lives better and fighting for us. Lisa Gilbert, Lori Wallach, all of these people I'm naming to you, you've probably never heard of, but
Mhm.
those are the people that I'm impressed with. And so as far as celebrity culture, they should be celebrities, but for the right reasons.
Yes.
But celebrity culture, I don't know, it'll take different forms.
I
And
think so.
the question is, what are you using your power for? If
Exactly.
are you using it for good? Are you using it simply for self-aggrandizement?
Yes.
And there are a lot of celebrities who say, I don't want this power. I remember Billy Joel saying, I don't get political because what if I believe in something that's wrong or stupid? It's
Yeah.
not my field. I'm an artist. And so, this whole thing with Donald Trump is he's a celebrity. That's
Right.
the issue with celebrity culture, is that he became a celebrity through The Apprentice, and
Yes.
he had name recognition. And as a name recognition, and he was this disruptive personality, but he is a product of celebrity culture, and that is kind of the downside of somebody being elevated to a position that they don't. We might as well have Kim Kardashian be the vice president because she's a celebrity and everybody knows who she is, and
No, please.
know,
Don't manifest that, please.
no,
No, please don't do that. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. I grew up, my mom was a concert pianist and she was actually kind of famous in South America, as you know.
yep,
And we had celebrity pianists, in that world.
yes,
And so her students would be like, "Oh my God, you were like with this person and they went to dinner and I was like, they're just people." It's like
yeah,
they eat like me, they eat like you, they sit at a table like so I was like you, I was never impressed with celebrities. It doesn't, what impresses me, I'm exactly like you. The talent impresses me and how people use their power, talent, or, to help other people and to make the world a better place. That's the focus, really.
yeah,
The rest is all vanity and BS,
yeah.
I think.
I was, I had I didn't even have 15 minutes of fame. I had 13 minutes of fame when I first came out to LA. I was hosting a show called Totally Hidden Video. It was a hidden camera show. It was the first hidden camera show after Candid Camera, which started this genre of hidden camera shows. And then later on, they had Punk'd and Jamie Kennedy, they had all sorts of hidden camera shows. And that was also a product of technology, the cameras being better and smaller, and you could do a lot of different things with them. But I came out to host that show, and I did it for a year. And I was mainly a celebrity. It was on the then fledgling Fox network, mainly a celebrity among 13-year-olds because that's who watched that show. And I was on a boat on the Atlantic Ocean, just coming in from an island, talking to this professor from Princeton University, who I knew, who was an engineering professor, and he was a kind of a genius. He invented a tennis racket that had a larger sweet spot on it, and he was working with how to power cars with methane gas. He's working on that stuff in the 80s. And there was a family on this boat who started pointing at me as I was talking to him. And they were kind of like, oh my God, starstruck because I was on this boat. They recognized me from television and from this dumb little show. And I'm talking to this very, erudite, important person who's actually done things in the world. And these people come up to me and they're gushing over me. And I sign an autograph and they leave. And he kind of looks at me and goes, what was that about? And I said, well, I do this TV show, and it's, we play jokes on people and the hidden camera. Yeah. And he kind of looked at me and said, okay, now we have to figure out how you can use this power for good.
I love that.
I've never forgotten that. So
Really? Yeah.
whatever, I've gained through show business, I try to use whatever small power I have for good.
Yes.
And I think that is what celebrity should be about.
I agree. And you do that. I've known you for quite a long time, and like 10 years or something. And you've always been an amazing person, an artist. And I know you do that. You invited me to several of those public citizen,
Oh yeah,
right?
stand up for
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, yes. So you use your power for good. I 100% know that and appreciate that. And I love you even more for that because you're just, yeah, you're amazing. So I'm gonna ask you a couple
You are
of questions.
amazing too. You are amazing, Grace, if I may
Thank
say.
you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate that. Thank you. With my new hair, my new
you were
black hair.
doing
Who
better
knew?
with your emo hair. Yeah.
Yeah. So
What do you? That's the commercial. What do you use? Clairol? No, I use chemo.
I used to get That's a great. Can I use that?
Yeah. If you,
Can I use it?
if you want wavy hair, I used to have kinky curly hair that I could hardly control. And then I got cancer and I had to go through chemo. Now I have beautiful, luxurious, wavy hair. So you should get chemo. Try not to get the cancer before that, but at least use the chemo.
And then side effects may include I have 20 side effects that I can read
Yeah,
really fast.
that may affect me. Death is one of them. Yeah,
Right? Exactly.
yeah,
Well, 25% of people don't make it because of complications. I'm in the 75%. So I
yeah,
always tell people, if you're gonna get cancer, make sure you're healthy. And I think because I was a jock and like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and I still teach swimming and I'm like very active physically and eat health. I think that kind of like got me through
yeah,
all
yeah.
that treatment because it's
Oh
kind
yeah,
of brutal.
yeah,
It's kind of crazy. But so I have two questions for you.
yeah.
One is, what is your state of grace? What is your ideal state of being?
Ideal state of being.
Yeah,
Um, well, active, and I don't know if this will answer your question, but I still play a lot of sports. Actually, I play one sport. I play baseball and softball, and
nice.
um, to this day, I'm never more comfortable than when I'm on a baseball field
I love that.
because not a stage. I'm pretty comfortable on a stage doing stand up. I'm very comfortable on a set, but there's nowhere else I'm more comfortable than on a baseball field because I know exactly what my role is, what my job is. It
Mm,
doesn't always go right. You make an error, you make a mistake, you foul out, you do something like that. But there is an objectivity to that where that it's like I'm at home.
mm.
And that would probably, and the fact that I'm still blessed enough that I can still do it, even with an artificial hip, and still kind of
Wow.
run fast enough and still have eyesight and hand-eye coordination, and doing all that has helped keep me trying to my effort to keep myself younger.
Hmm.
I think there is something, when I'm doing that, and I played in a game yesterday. I'm going to play in another game tomorrow and another game on Sunday. When I'm there, I'm I feel like I'm in a state of grace.
I love that. And it's kind of like a metaphor for life for you, right? The
Well, yeah,
field.
sports kind of always is a metaphor, and especially for me because I grew up as a jock, and which is not most of the comedians. Again, it makes me not like
Right?
most comedians. Most comedians were the last ones picked on the team,
Yeah.
and I wasn't the first one picked on the team.
Yeah.
I was the one picking the team. That's
Nice. The boss.
yeah. And so, and I didn't have to be funny in order not to get beat up. So I don't fit that profile, and I'm not neurotic. I didn't have a terrible childhood. I used to tease my parents. I said, if you would have effed me up a little bit more, I'd have a better act.
Oh
But
no.
yes, yeah. But again, that's how I've been blessed. So, you could say my whole life has been in a state of grace or a state of lucky charm.
That is amazing. And the way I feel about life is like, even if I have challenges, I always look at them as an adventure. Even cancer, it was an adventure that made me a better person. So, you know what? That I was in my state of grace all throughout the journey
It's a
because,
story. You get a story out of it.
oh my God, I got an hour
It's
comedy
like
special. I
like
got a book.
greatness. It's like Blue with the keys. That it's like that's the thing that you learn in this business.
Yes.
In the business, in the writing, is that when something bad happens, could be a story. You get a
Oh,
story out of it.
100%. I had a lot of time on my hands and I kept writing. Like I would tell, if I talked to my best friend who took care of me and I would say something, she was like, write it down. I would write everything. I have like pages and pages
Yeah.
of, and yeah, it's so you can turn, I think art helps you turn something negative into positive, or what's viewed as negative into something that's viewed as positive, I
Yeah,
guess.
conflict, it helps. It's therapeutic because you are
Yeah.
kind of writing about whatever this conflict is, whatever this challenge is, and just the act of writing about it,
Hmm.
processing it, and you gain a perspective on it that is healthier than when you were just in it and agonizing through it.
Yeah. It wasn't that agonizing, to be honest. It wasn't, I just had fun throughout. I don't know why. I cried a lot,
Sure.
especially looking at my bald head because I'm all about the hair.
Uh-huh.
But, mhm,
Uh-huh.
but other yeah, we both are about the hair, aren't we?
It's
Because
all
you're also about the hair.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, this lighting makes it look a lot grayer than it is, people. It's not this gray. It's got bad lighting.
No, it's great. It looks great. It looks
That's what
awesome. You have
that's what
beautiful
you
hair.
yes.
So speaking of hair, I'm sure you would want to be known for having great hair, but other than that, what do you want to be known for?
What are you writing my obituary? Uh,
Kind of.
what would I want to be known for? See, um, I don't know that I need to be known for anything.
Nice. I like that. No
Uh,
ego.
well, yeah, there's ego in it, but it's like, well, for instance, working with Ralph Nader.
Yes.
When he ran in 2000 and people were mad at him because they thought he cost Al Gore the election and all that bullshit, which isn't true. Um, I asked him about his legacy because that's what a lot of the commentators were talking about. He's destroying his legacy. And he says, yeah, that's right, Blue Horseshoe. It's always lighting. My skin is not this dry.
Right.
Um, and he says, what do I care about my legacy? I don't care about my legacy. He says, what are they going to do? Tear seatbelts out of cars? They're not going to do that. That was his legacy. And
Yeah.
the fact that his name was attached to it was of less importance than he was able to accomplish that, or he able to push that over the finish line. And so I think about that with a lot of things that, um, I don't need my name. I didn't need my picture up in the comedy clubs because I always had
Yeah.
this feeling that people eventually going to say, "Who the hell is that? And who's that old? That picture that's kind of curling now, and it's kind of brown and yellow." And I didn't need that Dorian Gray thing happening in a comedy club.
Yeah.
Have my name on everything because I knew what I did. So that's all I need to know is
Yeah.
I know what I did. So I don't need other people to know anything. What
Yeah.
I would like to be known for. You could say the standard stuff. I want to be known as a good father and a wonderful husband.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. Yes.
Yeah, and sure, of course, that's kind of the least you could do. That's the
Yes.
boilerplate part. But as far as anything else, um, I think not having to be known for anything,
I love
and
that. That's a
doing
great answer.
just doing what you do and having influence in life and having your relationship, like you give advice to somebody, you mentor somebody. I don't need to be known for that. I know what I
Right.
did, they know what I did, and they can appreciate it or not, but it doesn't matter because I felt good doing it. It felt like the right thing to do. So
Yes.
that's how I would answer that question. I hope it's not
That's
a non-answer.
that's the best answer. I love that answer. It's like total ego death.
Yeah,
And
I
it,
guess there's something vaguely Buddhist about it. I don't really know anything
yeah,
about Buddhism or Zen. I don't know what it would be, but I'm old enough now to have come to that realization.
yeah.
And
It doesn't matter,
I,
right?
yeah, I used to think, when I was doing stand up in New York, I lived in Queens. I would take the subway into the city, and there was always movie posters on in the subway, and they were always changing depending on whatever movie was going on. And I remember thinking, and I did this as kind of a throwaway joke, that, you know, one day maybe I'll get my picture on a movie poster in the New York City subway system, but then I would be afraid that somebody would draw a dick on my face. And, and God forbid in the photo, my mouth would be open. Yeah, because
Then you'd be known as dickhead. That would not be
yeah,
good.
because I
Yeah.
saw so many of these movie posters of these great actors,
Yeah.
and somebody takes a magic marker. That's how easy they can cut you down to size. The,
Yes.
the dick and balls right there. Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Hollywood celebrity.
Yeah. Not cute. Not
Your
cute.
celebrity decaying and die. It was like, so I never, or I would look, I'd come to LA and see these big movie posters on the Sunset Strip. I remember
Yeah.
seeing Tom Selleck in a baseball, he was doing something in a baseball uniform. And my desire wasn't, oh, one day that'll be me. What I looked at it was, God, he looks weird in that.
That's
He's
funny.
huge in the it's kind of distorted feature.
Yeah.
It's never appealed to me. Oh, I wouldn't mind being famous if the fame had some sort of utility.
Yes.
I could use that, like I was saying, use the power, and it gave me the power to bring something together or raise money for something or do, move, a law forward or something. Like
Right.
Jon Stewart, I think he uses his power for good. He was fighting for those 9/11 first responders and just ripping Congress for their inaction and shamed them into some action. And that is using your power for good. And
Agree.
John, I knew back in the day, and is extremely funny and talented, has been a real model for that.
Yeah. That's the best answer I've gotten so far. I love it. That's total ego death, non-attachment, very Buddhist. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Very.
yeah, and I might not have thought. I think that was always innately in me because when
Yeah.
I tell the story about the movie posters, but I
Yeah.
haven't really articulated it until later in life.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, we've been going for like an hour and 15 minutes, and it feels like 10 minutes. But thank you so, so much, Steve, for being on my little podcast and always being such an incredible guest. So fun and so profound and such a wonderful person. So thank you so much. And everybody loved you. They all stayed. They're still commenting. So remember, guys, to subscribe to the Substack, okay?
Yeah,
steveskrovan.substack.com. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Steve. And we'll have you back again. We'll talk about something else. We'll always
yeah.
have
Always
topics.
something to talk about. Thank you,
Yeah.
Grace.
Oh,
Stay
my.
amazing.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Bye. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. The comments are so great. You guys make it so fun. Steve is an incredible guest, and I am so happy that you got to be here live with him. Thank you, Jose. Great, great show. Thank you. Thank you. We'll have him back. He's been on my podcast for like many times. I honestly lost count. So anyway, so we are going to roll something. And before we roll, I just want to make you aware that I now have a gift store and it's called thestateofgraceshop.com. And here all the grace rules, what I call the grace rules, are available on mugs and t-shirts. This one is a penny for your thoughts. Nah, make it 10,000. So they're all kind of like sassy like that and silly and funny. And then we have t-shirts also for men and women right here. There's one. And purple is my color because it's a royal color. So, and also desk mats. I got desk mats. So if you go to the stateofgraceshop.com, you can get any of these fun things. I'm going to keep adding more grace rules because I keep coming up with them because my mind is like a bad neighborhood. You know, when I go there, it's like full of, whoo, okay. Oh, thank you. You love purple. Thank you. I know purple is like my totally favorite color. Of course you love purple because I love you, James. I'm so happy you're here. It is a very sexy color, and it's royalty, and it's actually um, supposedly like a very spiritual color. It's because of the vibrational thing or whatever. I don't know, but whatever. So let's roll the little video that I made for you guys so you can see some of the things that I have available on the stateofgraceshop.com. All right, let's roll it. All right. Okay. Well, we are going to be back next month on May 3rd, Friday, May 3rd, at 6:30. I messed up today. I'm sorry. And thank you guys for waiting. I'm so sorry. I might change actually the time to 7. I'm not sure how that works for the people on the East Coast because I want you guys to be able to tune in. So, but I'll keep you posted. You'll get notifications here. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you get notified when I'm going live. And I'm also going live on Tuesday, Relationship Coaching Live. And we're going to talk about our dreams. So if you want to tune into that, it's a lot of fun. We all talk about, it's very participatory like this. And we all talk about during the live about our dreams and like we just like exchange ideas and feelings, and it's amazing. It's super fun. So I will see you guys on Tuesday, hopefully, if you tune in. And if not, I will see you next State of Grace podcast. Thank you so much. Mwah. I love you guys.